Law by Mike is one of the fastest growing creators on the planet right now, and he's getting over 1 billion views a month. But to see exactly how Mike is able to pull off such an insane feat, we need to see exactly how Mike got started on YouTube in the first place. Because he didn't actually start on YouTube. He started on TikTok. Not with the goal of being a content creator or anything, but simply with the goal of expanding his law firm, Mandel Law. And with the rise of creators and influencers during the pandemic, Mike wanted to hop on this trend and post his own content. So in November of 2020, Mike posted his first video. It was just a fun little story about how he won a case for one of his clients. Mike continued to consistently post on TikTok. Then in February of 2021, he posted his first ever YouTube video. It was just a TikTok that he re-uploaded to Shorts. It didn't do much, but Mike stayed consistent on Shorts. And in October of 2021, he grew his channel to 100,000 subscribers. And almost a year later, in March of 2022, he hit 1 million subscribers. Although this seems like insanely fast growth, but if you look at the time that this growth was occurring, a bunch of other creators were growing a similar way because Shorts had just been launched. And since YouTube had just rolled out this new feature, they rewarded the first few people that were very consistent in doing it. This caused a bunch of creators to experience unnatural amounts of growth. And Law by Mike just happened to be one of those creators. But the difference between Mike and most of the creators that blew up around that time was the fact that Mike never slowed down. He's actually averaging more views now in 2025 than he did in 2022. In fact, he's averaging over 10 to 20 million views a short consistently. And at around the time of scripting this, he just hit 12 million subscribers. It's very rare to find a creator doing as well as Mike is on Shorts right now. So what's Mike's secret to obtaining this level of success? For starters, Mike has a great understanding of the audience that he's going after. Whenever Mike first started his channel, he had the intention of hitting an older audience because he wanted to promote his law firm to that audience. But the weird part was that Mike never really hit the audience that he originally intended to hit. Because instead of adults finding these legal tips useful, kids and teens were finding them interesting and entertaining. You can see how Mike began to realize who his audience really was as time passed. Because he started adding in fun little transitions, different characters, green screens, and also started making his ideas more consumable for kids and teens. This is extremely important on YouTube, knowing who your audience is and engineering your content for those viewers. This is the reason that Law by Mike is able to gain such a massive audience, because his content is not only consumable for adults, but also kids and teens. It's not just for adults that want to talk about the political and economical state of the world. He's simply just casting a wider net, allowing him to bring in more viewers. But casting a wider net isn't going to make you average 10 to 20 million views a short. So what exactly is it about his shorts that allow him to average more than 99.9% of creators? Well, I uncovered the 4 secret tricks that Mike uses to ensure that every single short that he uploads will go viral. One is that Mike treats the first frame of his shorts as if it were the thumbnail. What I mean by this is shorts don't have thumbnails like long form videos do. But you still need a way to stop the viewer from scrolling past your short. And Mike does this extremely well. For example, take a look at this video right here titled "How to Survive a Kidnapping." That ended up getting 65 million views. Notice that the first frame is literally Mike being tied up by 2 guys in ski masks and putting him in a van. This is simply just a great way to hook the viewer into the short, ensuring that they don't swipe away. The second trick that Mike uses is that he doesn't just sit in front of the camera and talk. A majority of the time, he's acting out what's happening in front of a green screen or one of his friends is. Again, this is because Mike understands that a majority of his audience are kids that have TikTok Subway Surfers brains. And acting out what's happening in the video rather than just sitting and talking is much more engaging. It's also a great way to make sure that something new and interesting is always happening. A second is never wasted inside of these shorts. The third trick that Mike uses is that he always makes sure that his shorts are pushing the 45 to 60 second range. This is actually pretty important because we all know that YouTube values watch time. Let's say that you uploaded a 20-second short and got 100% retention, meaning that your average viewer watched the short 100% of the way through. You would get 20 seconds of watch time. Now let's say that you uploaded a short that was a minute or longer, and then again, you get 100% retention. That's now over a minute of watch time versus the 20 seconds that you would have gotten. And I'm not saying that shorter shorts can't do well, but I am saying that for that to happen, people on average need to watch that short multiple times, which isn't too uncommon if the short is good. But if your shorts are longer, you're giving them a better chance to pop off, because it's a lot easier to get someone to watch a 1-minute short one time than it is to get them to watch a 20-second short 2 or 3 times. The fourth trick that Mike uses is that he doesn't reinvent the wheel. A lot of the times he uses what's already been proven to do well on other people's channels. For example, the most viewed short on MrBeast's channel is "Will you fly to Paris for a baguette?" with 1.5 billion views. Mike did his own version of that titled "Escape the Straitjacket, Win Money." Also, this other short from MrBeast's channel titled "Spot the Hidden Person, Win $10,000." Mike also did his own version of that titled "Hiding from the Police." Mike has also done videos like "Is throwing a penny off a building actually legal?" Because this creator named Veritasium did a similar version on his channel and ended up getting 18 million views. But now you may be wondering, how do I find shorts that have done well so that I can use them to come up with my own ideas? Do I just scroll YouTube Shorts? No, that would take a really long time. What I personally look at is oneof10.com. because it allows me to easily find shorts that have performed better than the channel's average, just like the videos that I was just talking about. All you have to do is that whenever you're putting in your filters, you make sure you click the shorts button, and bam, now you have countless different shorts you can use as inspiration to come up with ideas. For example, this short right here by Mike Shake was a pretty big outlier and ended up garnering over 50 million views. This guy right here saw how well Mike's video performed and ended up taking inspiration to make his own version, and he ended up getting over 16 million views. Using outliers to come up with ideas does work. If this sounds interesting to you, click the link in the description and use code TREE to get 1 of 10 for 50% off. Okay, so now that we know how Mike was so successful on shorts, let's go over how he was able to transfer that success over to long form. Because a lot of the time when creators blow up on shorts, they're not able to transfer that success over. And that was the case for Mike for a while. He was doing decent on shorts, but every time he'd post a long form, no one would watch it. So how did he get to where he is today, averaging millions and millions of views? We can tell whenever Mike started doing long form, he really had no idea what he was doing. He would post advertisements for his law firm, podcasts, interviews, reaction videos. His content was all over the place. But as he gained more and more subscribers, he found a format that sort of worked, where he did these commentary type videos. And the videos would do good or bad depending on what he was talking about. But the views on his long form were in no way comparable to the views that he was bringing in on shorts. And this was because his short form was targeting one audience and his long form was trying to target a completely different audience. A lot of the topics that he covered on long form were more so political and just generally topics that teens and kids weren't interested in. The only time his videos would do well, other than some outlier cases, was whenever he would talk about MrBeast. Because MrBeast hits a wildly broad audience the same way that Mike's shorts did. And just like MrBeast, a majority of the audience was made up of teens and kids. Mike noticed that a change needed to be made to his long-form content to better fit his audience. You can see wherever he began to experiment with these 4 videos right here. And you'll see that the one that ended up doing the best was the one that was revolving around YouTubers. This was a massive indication to the type of audience that was watching Mike's channel. The other 3, even though they didn't perform as well as the YouTuber one, were still overperformers on the channel because they were also going after the correct audience. Mike realized that if his audience cared about YouTubers, then they would possibly like the same type of videos that those creators normally post. He realized that he could probably do a mainstream YouTuber idea in a more lawyery way, if that makes sense. Mike looked at this video that performed decently on Ryan Trahan's channel titled "I Bought Banned Kids Toys." And he took that idea and did it in his own way by titling it, "I Bought Illegal Kids Toys." And this video ended up becoming the most viewed video on Mike's channel up to this point. And it's currently sitting at 3.1 million views. So Mike did what any smart YouTuber would do in that position, and he immediately followed that video up with 2 more videos using a similar format. I tested illegal blank. And these videos also performed worlds better than all the other videos on the channel. And for the last 5 videos on Mike's channel, he's continued to use this same formula, finding formats that have worked in other niches and using them within his own niche. And all of these videos, except for one, have gotten over 2 million views. And he just uploaded a long form that's pushing 5 million views. All that stuff is great and all, but I think there's one more thing that I haven't touched on yet that separates Law by Mike from 99% of other creators. And it's also the reason that I think that Law by Mike is going to become one of the biggest creators on the planet one day. And it's because he takes advantage of short form content. Mike is bringing in nearly 1 billion views a month from his short form content alone. And he realizes that those aren't only short form views, but also potentially long form views. Like I explained earlier, the same type of audience that's watching and consuming his short form content is also consuming his long form content. And if you look at nearly every single one of Mike's shorts, he's attempting to push traffic to those long form videos, using the little short form to long form link feature. This will not only ensure that he gets more views on that long form video. That's not really the reason that he's doing it. Mike has 12 million subscribers. That is 12 million people that has seen his content and enjoyed it enough to subscribe to him. And his most viewed long form video only has 5 million views. That's leaving 7 million potential long-form viewers off the table. And yes, I'm sure that a lot of them simply just don't want to watch his long-form. But I'm also sure that a lot of them probably don't even know that he posts long-form content or how good that content is. This isn't just to get more empty views on the channel. It's to turn a potential long-form viewer into a long-form viewer. And I feel like creators aren't doing this as much as they should be. Most of the biggest creators in the world, such as Nick DiGiovanni, Mr. Beast, and the Stoics Twins, don't even upload a short without linking it to a long form video. And I should specify, this is only a good idea if you know exactly who your audience is and are making both shorts and long form for that one audience. Otherwise, you can risk pushing the wrong type of viewer to your long form content. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button because I really want 100,000 subscribers. And also click the link in the description and use code TREE to get 1 of 10 for 50% off. Anyways, bye!